Hey there, self-care warriors. Welcome back to Self-Care Haven. Today's video is going to be about the question, should we get revenge on a narcissist? And the short answer is absolutely. And I'll show you exactly how. So I'm doing my 50 Shades of Narcissism Q&A today, and I want to share a very intriguing question from a reader who was kind enough to send me this beautiful question. Very, very interesting question. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of dialogue on this question. So, the reader asked, I have learned how to better stand up to narcissistic behavior by being a better narcissist. Now, when he says being a better narcissist, that doesn't mean that he's a narcissist. It was just meant to imply that he uses some of the techniques that a narcissist might use. I am sensitive to this type of behavior, and I see it immediately in interactions with people. I have also watched several of your YouTube videos, and I give great thanks to you in giving me peace of mind and helping me understand what this craziness is. Thank you. I've been dealing with my entire life, the craziness he's been dealing with his entire life. My question is, because I'm aware of what a narcissist does, is it wrong for me to destroy their sense of superiority by pointing out everything that is wrong with them? I'm an empath, but when attacked personally, I want to destroy anyone that tries to hurt me with so-called teasing and put-downs. To me, it is so unnecessary, and I just think it keeps the cycle continuing. Alright, so this is something that I know that a lot of survivors can relate to. How do we handle our interactions with the narcissist, especially if those interactions happen to be unavoidable, such as the workplace and friendships, or even mutual friends, or a relationship we haven't broken away from yet? So, let's talk about this. Earlier in the video, in the beginning of the video, I mentioned we should take revenge on a narcissist. Of course, I don't mean that we should ever retaliate physically or even emotionally, because in the short term, retaliating emotionally might be satisfying for a bit, but when we are dealing with a narcissist, someone who has no remorse, no empathy for their actions, it can be absolutely emotionally exhausting to try to one-up the narcissist all the time. So this is my response to that question. So I know that victims of narcissists cope when they know that a narcissist is attempting to belittle them, they cope in very different ways. Some victims might feel powerful in retaliating, and they might try to belittle the narcissist once they find out that the narcissist is trying to belittle them, while others find that their energy is drained from trying to compete with these people very easily, and they can't even retain some of the short-term benefits of retaliating. Remember that narcissists can be provoked at the slightest injury, and that results in what we call narcissistic rage. And that might actually counter over time the initial power that a victim feels in retaliating. When we think about it, every time that we try to put down a narcissist, and every time that narcissist either responds with narcissistic rage, or maybe even a knowing, contemptuous laugh that he or she knows exactly what we're doing because he or she is a narcissist and probably knows that we're hurt by their actions and we're just retaliating and we don't really mean what we say or do. So remember that narcissists do and are very well aware of the reactions that they're getting from us, even if that reaction to them is an attempt to belittle them, because they know that it's a response provoked by what they did or said to us. So in a way, we're not really succeeding in fooling them because they know when we're reacting to something that they did, usually, unless you're very covert about it, and so covert that it can even escape a narcissist's notice. But in the long run, a narcissist will figure it out, because they are a master of covert put-downs. That's the language that they speak. So ideally, it's best not to engage at all with a narcissist. Stage no contact or low contact. Minimize the contact if you have to have contact with a narcissist. Because in the long term, we're not going to get as much satisfaction. And actually, the best revenge that we can ever get, and here's going back to that idea that we should retaliate with our own indifference. And what I mean by indifference is that a narcissist cannot stand when someone is indifferent to them. Whether the reaction to them is negative or positive, they relish that reaction. And if we refuse to give them any reaction, that's actually when they'll feel the most frustrated. So when we decide that we're going to use all of those horrible experiences, all the negativity and toxicity that they've given us to fuel our own success, that's when they start to worry. When we become independent of their validation, when we become independent of our need for their validation, that's when we actually regain control. That being said, I sympathize with how many survivors feel about revenge, and I definitely relate to this need for justice. But again, the best revenge against a narcissist is not to give them a reaction, because that is what they're seeking. That's what they're seeking. And again, they may know that you're already reacting due to the way that they're treating you. So they see your reaction, your attempts to belittle them, as a source of pride for them, because they have managed to get that reaction out of you, and they've managed to get you to stoop down to their level. It's really our silence and our indifference that destroys them. Our ability to succeed and transcend their abuse is what annoys and frustrates them, and ultimately what destroys them in the end. It's not our reaction to them, whether it's negative or positive. It's not our ability to put them down, because in the short term that might be very, very satisfying. But in the long term, it's just going to waste our energy. And that energy is something that we need to conserve if we're going to get our true revenge. And our true revenge is using all of that negativity, using all that toxicity the narcissist has thrown at us as fuel. And when we use that as fuel, we can accomplish pretty much anything that we put our mind to. You will probably never encounter as much of a frustrating experience as meeting a narcissist. So use that experience to your advantage. It can be a hidden blessing. Nothing else will infuriate you and aggravate you more than an experience with a narcissistic abuser. And nothing can motivate and inspire you more, honestly. It's going to fuel you. Use that. Use those experiences that you've had, all of the experiences that you've had with bullies and narcissists, and you will find yourself the most motivated person in this world if you use them, because you will be so inspired to really, really prove everything that they said about you wrong. And not only that, but once you gain that level of success, and once you've transcended the abuse, and once you've channeled all of that fury and that rage and that hurt into something greater than yourself, and once you've actually accomplished some of your goals, and once you've started on your goals, once you're really going towards that positive road of following your dreams and changing your life and rebuilding your life, that's actually when you realize that you're cultivating that indifference. At first you might feel angry, but once you've channeled that anger, you start to feel indifferent about what the narcissist thinks. And sooner than later, you'll realize you're not even seeking their validation anymore. Sometimes you have to fake it till you make it, but use it. Use all that anger. Use all that grief. Use it. Use all of it to fuel you. Because nothing else can motivate you more than this type of experience. And nothing else can infuriate the narcissist more than someone who's independent of them, someone who's seeking their happiness outside of the narcissist, seeking their validation from within. And that is the most scariest thing that you could ever do to a narcissist, and that is what will ultimately destroy them. And it is what will ultimately revive you. So why not kill two birds with one stone, right? All right, so I hope this Q&A helped a little bit. I hope to talk to you very soon. Until then, take care.